Explainability in AI, making dialogue systems transparent. The purpose of this video is to provide you an overview on dialogue systems, the methods for explainability in dialogue systems, and how ELOQUENCE is addressing explainability in AI before presenting our conclusions. The overview of dialogue systems, well, we know that there are chatbots who can perform simple tasks. There are also virtual assistants, Siri or Alexa, which can perform a more complex tasks or automate certain services. And with more recently, we have the LLM-based agents, which can understand natural language and can perform more complex tasks in several steps in order to reach a goal. What are the methods for explainability in dialogue system? Well, we have rule-based and symbolic explanations. Rule-based, as the name it says, is rather simple. If you pose a question to the AI, is a male or a fish? Following this rule-based, well, if the animal breathes air through lungs and gives birth and produces milk, then it's a mammal. So, passing all this revision, the answer of our AI is that whale is a mammal. If we pose the same question, but the AI uses symbolic explanation, well, in this case, the AI is going to compute or going to retrieve the information that whale belongs to the subclass of Cetacea. Cetacea belongs to the subclass of Mammalia, and Mammalia has this property of being warm-blooded, give birth, and produces milk. Given this information and following the symbolic hierarchy, well, therefore, whale is a mammal. So those are the, let's say, two approaches. But there is also the tracing and reasoning chains. And a chain of thought in this case is the way of explaining how AI models solve the problems step by step. So you have an input and you have several steps before reaching an output. There is not a single way, so this is why there is also multiple chain of thoughts, tree of thoughts, and more recently some graph of thoughts, trying to emulate how the human brain actually works. Let's see an example in order to explain a bit more how this chain of thoughts work. Where are my missing keys? This is our scenario, and then you pose the question to the AI. I cannot find my house keys. Where could they be? So the observation is clearly they are not where they should be. The clue is that, well, you arrive 1 hour away from the grocery store, and the AI is going to come up with this deduction. With both hands, you likely place the keys down quickly, for sure not in the shallow spot. But then it comes into play the chain of thoughts or the thinking method or step. It has a memory trace. Okay, well, remember you arrived from the grocery store, most likely you went directly to the kitchen, directly to just sort out your groceries. Again, so you have put hands full. Keys probably are on the kitchen somewhere or still in the locked door. It can happen. So this is, let's say, the representation of the chain of thoughts. But there can be also some variations that can be also used in the counterfactual explanations. If you pose the question, okay, I would like to go to the Golden Spoon restaurant, and the AI is going to retrieve the reviews of the restaurant, and it finds mostly negative reviews, like food was cold, service was bad, etc., or slow. And then it will come up with a most likely negative response, so it's not a good option. If you forget about this, some time passes and you pose the same question, it's going to retrieve the information, but it just happens that they improve. And now, okay, the comments that you found is like, okay, the food is delicious and the service was friendly. But based on this new information, well, the positive reviews, well, then you provide, in this case, the recommendation or the feedback that yeah, it could be a good option for dinner or for lunch. Now, we know where the methods are. How then ELOQUENCE is addressing or is using this information to provide explainability? Well, there are some frameworks that are using, and the idea is that there is going to be an LLM that is going to serve as a judge. You're going to present some dialogues, and it's going to perform analysis. It's going just to provide some extra information in order for you to provide, say, to perform the last decision. First, it's going to calculate one of the parameters that the score that is going to provide is the flash reading is, how easy it is to read the text, but in particular case is the dialogue, and it provides a numerical score. Higher scores means easy readability, lower scores means it's really complex text. In this case, in the previous conversation, well, we know it's very easy, so the score is going to be quite high, and so everybody could understand this dialogue. There is also the Gunning-Fogg index. In this case, it estimates the years of formal education in order to easily understand the text on the very first reading. So again, given the previous dialogue, in this case, the scores are the lower, the easier to understand, and the higher it goes, well, you may require a college level or a graduate to higher level in order to understand that dialogue. So let's see, and if we present to this LLM judge a more complex dialogue, let's say there is a patient who just forgot the instructions how to take the medicine, so I make the call, and the assistant, in this case, asks for the name, requires the name of the doctor, and just provides the instructions. Take the medicine 3 times a day, 30 minutes before the meals. They close the conversation. So how it is going to analyze, how it's going to be analyzed? First, it's going to prepare to custom the evaluation metrics. It's going to capture how the dialogue starts, greet and offer help, requires the name or the name of the doctor, the person and the doctor as well, and in order to confirm the instructions before providing the medical instructions, if there is follow-up probably or not, but of course, in case the person require more information, pose the question whether if they want to ask something else or anything else, and they just close the conversation and say the goodbyes. Then, okay, so it has the visual information. It also calculates the scores as we described before, but in order to provide, not only provided the numbers that may be complex to understand, it provides a more friendly explanation, which means, okay, in this case, the previous dialogue is short, it lacks depth, it has very basic informal exchanges, while coherent. It's coherent in general, but there are no signs of natural conversation like small talk, hesitation, or informal expression. And based on that, of course, in the scores, the responses are direct, lack any conversational texture, making rather to feel artificial and most likely machine generated. So this is what the aim of eloquence is in this case, in order to analyze and explain the dialogues. So the conclusion is explainability is addressing explainability in terms of dialogue flow, frequency of realism, length stats, and of course some readability scores. And it aims to understand the conversational patterns in order to identify some potential issues, and of course not only to understand but also to provide some tools to analyze, compare dialogue generation methods, and of course provide the human person behind or in front of the screen with the visualization, so the person will have the graphs and will be able to inspect the conversational flows, which would be considered is the path forward for transparent dialogue systems. And the idea is to make them not only trustworthy and explainable, but also human-aware. Thank you so much, and feel free to contact us for more details.